I want you to know today that you are invaluable. You are priceless. You are indispensable. You are irreplaceable. You were created on purpose, with a purpose, unique. When I look around the room and we see all the people here, it's so cool because everyone is different. And that's awesome. When I talk to people and I hear about your life, your story, things that have happened to you, things you've been through, things you've done. Isn't that exciting? You're like, whoa. People do a lot of things. And you would never know. You're just sitting, hanging out, and hey, what's going on with you? God created each and every single one of us with a plan and a purpose for our life. And we get to. You know, you're so important to the heart and mind of God that Jesus told this story about 100 sheep. A shepherd had 100 sheep, and one of the sheep wanders off. And so the shepherd leaves the 99, I'm sure, in good, capable hands with the sheep interns or, someone, but someone was watching the other 99, and shepherd goes out and he finds the one sheep. One sheep. You are more valuable than a sheep. If I had 100 AirPods and I lost one, I would not spend a significant amount of time searching for that AirPod. Probably wouldn't look for it at all. I'd be like, well, I have 49 other sets, and I could probably mix and match. But our priorities can get shifted on what is actually valuable in life. This week, breakaway week, we had a youth, we'll call it, I called it a painting party on Wednesday. And I had to go to Home Depot. By the way, if you ever think that giving a bunch of youth students spray paint and then having to leave to go edit a video real quick for breakaway is a good idea, it's a terrible idea. All right, I don't blame them at all. It's 100% my fault, but I came back and the room looks exactly like you think it would if a bunch of youth kids had spray paint and some direction, but not enough. If you want to see it, you can go in there. It looks like a disaster. Not the walls, the room itself, also some of the walls. But I had to go to Home Depot. I had to get spray paint, had to get paint. And when you buy spray paint, you have to show your ID, which is a weird occurrence for me because I don't typically find myself in situations like maybe going internationally to some place, I got to show an ID or something. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, how do you do this? Here's my driver's license, right? And so she takes it, and she's a nice lady at Home Depot, she's so awesome, and she's inputting stuff, and I'm scanning, right? I'm going fast. My whole family is with me, and I'm trying to go fast because we got to make it to lunch. It's close to lunchtime, and if you know that it's close to lunchtime, and it's been breakaway for 2 days, and you're kind of hungry, you really want to get to lunch, and you're just like kind of going fast. So I'm scanning things, I'm putting it in the car. Amos is running around. Rebecca and Eden Grace are somewhere, I'm not really sure where, probably talking to someone because anytime Eden Grace is awake and her eyes are out and people are seeing her, they're just like, oh, tell us about your baby's whole life story. Okay, well, she's here, so, but I get the stuff checked out. I grab Amos, I go out to the parking lot. I'm walking to the car, I look around, Rebecca and Eden aren't there, and I'm going, oh, where are they? They're probably still talking to someone, so I get to the car, I can't get in the car because the car is locked, and I'm trying to go fast. Then this big truck comes, and it blocks our way, and so my wife is walking all the way around the parking lot to get to the car, and then she unlocks the car, we get all the stuff in the car, and we go to lunch. Oh, okay, great. I get to lunch, I go to pay, pull out my wallet, and what am I missing? My driver's license. And I go, ooh, okay. That's not good. But in my head I go, oh, I know where it is. The lady at Home Depot, the nice lady, she forgot to give it back to me. That's it. That's definitely it. And so I continue getting the food, I sit down. But how much do you know that when you're fixated on something and you're trying to do other things, you're not really present, you're absent because you're thinking about this other thing? And I started thinking, oh man, not having a driver's license would be really inconvenient. So I tell my wife, I tell Rebecca, I say, hey, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my driver's license. And she goes, well, how are you going to get there? You don't have a driver's license. And I'm like, it's in the parking lot next to the parking lot, right? I think I'll be okay. If I get pulled over, I'll tell the cop, you can help me look or something, right? And so I take the keys, I go over to Home Depot, and again, in my mind, I'm thinking, that lady, she's going to see me. There's going to be like horns from heaven. The lights are going to come down. She's going to go, oh, Steven, I know your name because I looked at your driver's license. You forgot this. Here you go. I get in there, and I'm like, okay, great. Who do I see? Not the lady, someone else. Come to find out, she's not even a cashier. She was like filling in for someone who was on lunch. I'm like, now I got to go through Home Depot and find this lady, because if you've ever tried to find someone in Home Depot, especially someone who works there, it is a challenge. It's a challenge, right? And they're not really good because you can just say, well, she kind of looks like this. And they're like, that doesn't help. And eventually, though, I find her, and I'm like, okay, great. Cool. Hi, remember me? Oh, yeah, I remember you. I think either I forgot my driver's license or possibly you didn't give it back to me. And she goes, oh, let me look. She opens up her apron thing, that orange apron, and it's got all these pockets, and she's looking through each of the pockets, and she goes, nope, no driver's license, but found my phone. It's like, not helpful, right? You're working, get off your phone. So now I'm going, this is not good, because exactly what I thought was going to go in my mind this isn't playing out this way. So I go back to the cash register, and I'm looking all over, talking to a guy there. He's like, no, I don't see it. People are listening. You know that thing? This convinced me that everyone does this. There's like, Myers-Briggs says that there are people out there that don't have the J type at the end of their personality. I think it's a lie. I think everyone has a little bit of the J, because every single person who is checking out is overhearing my conversation with the Home Depot guy, and they start doing this. As they're checking out, they're looking around every cash register. They're like, we want to be the one to find the license, right? And I noticed this, I'm like, oh, great. No license. They send me to customer service. They're like, no one's turned in a license. Well, I guess I'll retrace my steps, because it's somewhere. It's got to be. Or someone took it. I don't know. So I go, and I'm retracing my steps, and I go, oh, you know what? Maybe I left it in the cart. So I go out to where I put the cart back, and it's in that cart thing, and there are no carts there. Someone very nice did their job and removed all the carts from the little cart area in the 10 minutes that it took me to go get lunch and come back and get outside. So that was expedient work on their part. So I'm going, I don't know what to do. I pray to Jesus, and I say, I need help. And so now I'm walking the parking lot, and I get to the spot that we were at, and there's no license there, and I'm going, well, this is going to ruin my day. And we got breakaway later, and again, for me and my personality, when something like bummer happens like that, I really only have one or two responses. Either a total carefree sort of lie attitude, or I let my true emotion show, and it's like, I'm just bummed out, and I'm thinking about that for. And so I'm walking the parking lot, and there's this big white truck, and I'm not sure why I looked at it, but it was on. Maybe that's why. But I look at this truck, and it's on. It's got this huge exhaust, and it's loud. I'm like, oh, okay, come on. But there, underneath the truck, all of a sudden I go, that is like 30 feet away from any spot that I was at any point, but it looked like a receipt. And I said, I'm willing to try anything at this point. And so I walk closer, and the receipt starts glowing in iridescent green with 3 George Washingtons on the back. And again, I don't know how it was glowing, because it was under a truck, so it was like shady. But shout out to the license people, it glows no matter what, apparently. And I look down, and I see it, and I go, that's probably a license. Remember, it's, picture side down, so I really don't know what it is. It's just glowing green. And I pick it up, and it's my driver's license, and I stand up, and I'm so excited. I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, I found this license. And the guy in the truck is looking through the window right at me. And he's probably wondering, what did you just do to my truck? And I show him the license, and I said this, and I just pointed like this, and he goes, right? Found the license. Spent a lot of time working. Sacrificed time with my family at lunchtime to find this license. I looked up later on the drive home, how difficult is it to get a replacement license in Washington State? Does anyone know? It's about $20 online, and they'll just mail you one with like a temporary card thing. It's like the most not big deal in the world to lose your license. And I went, I spent all this time, all this effort, all this energy, all this thought, all this stuff to recover this license because I had put value to it, right? Value, it's your identity, it's your thing. And I chose that over other stuff. And I'm sure that all of us here, if you haven't, that's wonderful, but I have felt before when either someone has chosen something else other than you, or you've been made feel to not be good enough or less than. But God says, no, you're worth it. That sheep that the shepherd went looking for the license, God puts way more energy than I put in for that license into pursuing you and when he created you to be who you are supposed to be. So why do we ever feel less than? Well, the world, right? People. Sometimes it can even be in church. I was at a church before Church on the Ridge. 3,000 students, 1st through 5th grade, every single weekend. And people will go, whoa! Right? That's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. A lot of work. It's a lot. It's cool. We got to do really fun things. This church was fantastic. Helped me learn stuff and develop things I was able to take and grow and do. But it's also where informative years of figuring out who I was, I also received some of the deepest and harshest criticisms I've ever gotten in my entire life. Things that I can still remember today, and this is more than a decade ago, you guys. More than a decade. And at church. Nothing bad ever happens at church. Not good enough, not talented enough, not important, I don't really matter. Maybe my past is too bad. I feel completely unworthy. I don't know enough. These are things that we can feel. And then we see people. We go, oh, look how they pray. They're praying in Latin. God must be rolling up his sleeves because, you know, when Latin comes out, God listens. He turns to Jesus and Michael and he says, oh, guys, focus, okay, Latin. Huge lie. That if we weren't here, we wouldn't matter. You are invaluable. You are meant for this moment and this time right now on purpose. At that same church, I don't think I'll ever forget this conversation. I've forgotten a lot of stuff that they've taught me, but I'll never forget this conversation. A guy named Adam pulled me aside because I had just received a pretty good talking to about something. I don't even remember what. And he goes, hey, I remember getting some criticism or some feedback one time. And the guy said, pull out a cup and pour some water into it. And so Adam did, and he's telling me the story, and the guy says, put your finger in the cup. And so Adam did, and he says, pull it out. And he goes, if you weren't here, that's how big a hole you would leave in our organization. Ouch. And so because Adam had experienced that, he saw me and what I was going through, and he pulled me aside, and guess what? All he did was spend the next 15 minutes speaking life into me, pouring into me, telling me that I was worth it, telling me that they had learned things from me because I had come from a different situation than any of them had come from. There were about I think less than 10 of us at that church that weren't either married in or related to everyone else in the big spider web, right? And so he talked about having people outside of that was actually super valuable. And it helped change my perspective because instead of remembering what the criticism, the feedback that I got right before that was, I'll remember what Adam told me for the rest of my life. And we need to hear that. In your life, you are valuable, you are worth it. You are created on purpose and you are loved.